Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and the retirement of NFL legend Adam Vinatieri. Some of you may have heard, people that are sports fanatics, you sports fans out there, NFL fans, what have you, may have heard about Adam Vinatieri retiring today. He was a very prolific, renowned NFL kicker. He had two very classic game-winning field goals for the New England Patriots. Uh, I'm going to talk about his retirement and his astrologically how some natal placements and transits may be tied into this. Now, the thing about this I thought was interesting. We've seen there's been a number of really prominent thing. Really, you could say surprising things, things that have garnered a lot of attention at this time in sports. Well, a few things you could say. I mean, one thing was unprecedented. There was Joe Westhead. Uh, he's an umpire. He's an umpire for Major League Baseball. He set a record. It was yesterday for most games umpired, um, and then you're hearing a lot of significant sports stories at this time of the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Lunar eclipse can be about endings, retirement in sports. Sagittarius is connected with sports. Adam Vinatieri retiring today. When Joe West set that record, I believe it was yesterday. I'm not 100% sure. You may want to confer that on the internet, what have you. But when you look at it, it's really kind of like an ending in a way. Even though I'm sure he's going to umpire a lot more games, it was the last game that the last game, the final umpire game, which would give him that record. That's the ending of that, basically of that stretch in order to attain that historical record for umpiring games in baseball. MLB is, of course, associated with sports. And somebody else had like retired today or something in some other sport, I believe. So it's not surprising we're having these monumental events transpire and that are associated with sports around this time of the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, for Adam Vinatieri, of course, again, I had to improvise and do a solar/sunrise chart because the time of birth I could not find online. He is a sun in Sun in Capricorn and Moon in Libra. Um, and the thing about it is he played till 48 years old, which is phenomenal. I don't know if that's unprecedented as far as longevity in the NFL, but it's not surprising that he has his sun in Capricorn, because Capricorn is the sign of longevity. The sun is about our life. It was something he shined in which he showed a lot of consistency and discipline. He has the North Node at least making a long conjunction to his sun, and also Jupiter is actually conjunct, his fairly close conjunction, looks like, to um, his natal North Node, and the North Node could be connected with our future, our destiny. Jupiter can be associated with sports. Capricorn is the sign of career, and it was something that he did with a lot of, I'm sure, structure and discipline, consistency. And the thing about it is, and having the moon in Libra, that tells me that he probably was somebody that was a person that was a strong, may have been a consummate team player. I understand I don't know if he ever played any other positions, but at least his primary position was a field goal kicker. The thing about it is, with him, he probably inspired a lot of cooperation with teammates, camaraderie. I would say having the moon in Libra and being the moon, maybe on an unconscious level. What's interesting is that he has, based on the solar/sunrise time, he does have in the solar sunrise chart as well. He has the moon conjunct Uranus in Libra in the ninth house of sports. The moon can be about the public, Uranus can be associated with television, something of an unusual nature. And he also, the thing about this too, when I'm looking at his chart, what's interesting is that when you had this transit of the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, as far as when it was exact, when the moon was at 5 degrees Sagittarius, it was not far. It was fairly close proximity to his natal Neptune in Sagittarius. Neptune in Sagittarius, though generational, can still manifest, I would say, in certain instances as trying to attain dreams that are sports related. Interestingly enough, Neptune also is connected with the feet. He made, when he was a player, he was a field goal kicker, which he primarily, I mean, you're using your feet to kick the football into the uprights. And the thing about it is the transit of the moon, of this lunar eclipse, again, lunar eclipses can signify and denote endings and culminations and closures. The fact that the transit moon was very close, very to the Neptune, at least at the time of the exact point of this lunar eclipse, that can signify an ending of of a sports dream that he did have, in which he did attain, actually, of course, and he attained it on a very high scale. The thing about it is, he has Mars in Scorpio. Now it does try to see if it's actually conjunct or not. It looks like it is. It is conjunct his natal Neptune. And the thing about having a Mars in Scorpio by itself, I mean, you're talking about could be a lot of action and something sports related, sports competition, where he had to remain very unflappable and poised. And a lot of his actions were connected with helping the team rise perhaps from the ashes of defeat, because I'm sure he had he had 2 Super Bowl game-winning field goals, so I'm sure he had numerous, I don't know what the total was, but probably, I'm sure, numerous game-winning field goals in the NFL during the regular season, playoffs, what have you, and ones where, in many instances, where the team was trailing, so he helped them rise from defeat. And it's also close to 29 degrees of Mars. And when you're in Scorpio, when you're talking about 29 degrees in astrology, it can reflect the full culmination of that energy. And it's also those planets I was telling you about, Neptune and Mars, do fall in the 11th house of groups, clubs, organizations, teams, and goals and aspirations. So another thing is that Venus in Sagittarius is in that 11th house as well. That could indicate making money, doing something sports related, being outdoors, and that's in the 11th house as well. And the transit of the moon, which is the lunar eclipse, was not far from that point as well. So that's it's an indicator of the ending, a completion, a culmination of a money-making sports venture or endeavor. And the fact it's on a lunar eclipse, it's not surprising. This was something that he had done for so many years. This was somebody of really world renowned, a very prolific NFL kicker, arguably, maybe unequivocally the greatest NFL field goal kicker in history. Believe he did have the most points in NFL history. So this is not, it's surprising, but yet it is. And it's not surprising we heard of at least one monumental event of an ending taking place in the sports world on this day. And just looking to see if there's any other transits that might be tied in to him leaving the NFL. Well, what I noticed is that the transit Sun in Gemini was making an inconjunct aspect to his natal Sun in Capricorn. When you're talking about inconjuncts in astrology, they can be about adjustments. Now, I don't believe he had anything health related. Sometimes In conjuncts can also pertain to health related matters. The fact that the sun is in Gemini, if there was something health related, it could have been something, going on with his arms or his hands, or something with the lungs or breathing. Um, Hands really, though, would not play much of a role in terms of, kicking a field goal, I wouldn't think. But at the same time, if you have to attend to something of a medical nature, then I can understand why it may conflict with your sports career. But he likely doesn't have anything going on with that. But the thing is, it's really, it's interesting in that inconjunct aspect, his natal sun and Capricorn being connected, sign connected with the career and what he was shining in. And you have the inconjunct aspect to, more lively, vivacious Gemini, and more about amusement. It seems to me, and it falls in that fifth house in the solar sunrise chart, his fifth house of fun, amusement, and enjoyment. This could be a time where maybe he just wants to, do a variety of things that are, more enjoyable in his life at this time. It could be things, with mental stimulation, or playing some kind of, puzzle books, or doing something of that nature. It could be just more about the focus on communication, maybe with children at this time as one example, and it might be a focus on perhaps a variety maybe of investments as well. Um, so anyway, and the thing is, transit Pluto is not conjunct his natal Jupiter. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back. But anyway, transit Pluto was not conjunct his natal Jupiter as far as the orb allowed. It's like, 8 9 degrees, maybe from around 9 degrees from his natal Jupiter. But the thing is, I don't think we could definitively say that a natal placement won't feel a vibration from a transit, even if it's 8 or 9 degrees away from it. And what's interesting is that the natal Jupiter in Capricorn can be expressed or manifested in a sports career, and transit Pluto can indicate obliteration and destruction and an ending. So, and that maybe this played some role in the ending of a sports career at this time. And really, there's not much more to say, except that one last thing I'm seeing, looking at this as well, is that the transit north node in Gemini was not far from his natal Saturn in Gemini. And when you're talking about transits that involve the north node, they can be about issues one may have to address or confront. Saturn can be connected with one's career. And anyway, I'm just looking to just see if there's anything else in here that, I'm sorry, in this chart through transits or natal placements um, that could indicate, anything associated with his retirement. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.